Let's create an animal shape that we can use for our flexi model. I'll use the scribble tool, drag that out to the middle of the work plane, and I'm going to freehand draw my shape. Let's see, I'll make a fish. See what happens when you draw your shape. On the right-hand side, you can see what it will look like in 3 dimensions. Now we want our shape to be a silhouette, so we need to fill in all of the interior areas. And if you're not sure you get it, you see the dark dot there, so I wasn't quite full. I can quickly take care of that. For larger areas, you can use this draw shape, and it will cover over larger areas all in one fell swoop. And then if you have any leftover bits and bobs, you can go back to the draw tool and fill that in. Okay, so far so good, except the tail looks very thin. I'm probably going to want a thicker tail there so I can add the hinge into that area. So I'm using the pencil tool to just add to my basic shape. There's an eraser too, so you can subtract if you wish. I'll define the tail a little more. And on the bottom, a little more size. I think I'll make the tail even thicker here. Use the eraser to erase any bits that you want. You can also zoom in to get a closer look. Okay. Go back to the pencil, and I'm going to add a top fin. Kind of loops over. And I'll add another smaller bottom fin down here. There's a little knob there I want to get rid of, so I'll use the eraser and go up and just kind of knock that down. And while I have the eraser, I'll make a little eye and a mouth. Okay, that looks pretty good. You can obviously make whatever animal you want, whatever shape you want. The main idea, though, is to make sure that it's a silhouette, that it's a solid shape. When you're satisfied with your animal shape, you can click Done. But just know that if you need to, you can double click on the shape and go back and do further edits if you wish. Now the height I need to be 5.5 millimeters, so I'll change that. I'm going to look at it from the top in orthographic view. Tap the F key to zoom in, get rid of this menu. And now I'm going to go into my creations, and I'm going to drag out a section cutout, and the hinge cutout, and the hinge. The hinge, I need to rotate and tap the D key to make sure it's dropped to the print bed. Look at it from the top. And the hinge looks like it's barely going to fit in the tail. That's probably okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Shift key and I'm going to make the fish a little bigger. And I'm holding down the Shift key as I drag so that it's enlarged proportionately. Now, because I've done that, it also increased the height, so I need to make sure to set the height back to 5.5 millimeters. Okay, from the top, I can move my cutout to where I want the cuts to happen. That's a good one there. And drag another one out. And now notice here, I don't want to go too high. I don't want to cut into the top fin, so I'm going to move that down. I'll set the snap grid to 0.1 and just nudge that cutout down. I can tap the F key to verify that it's not touching the fin, which it's not, so that's fine. Drag another cutout. Now this one I want to go all the way across, but it's not long enough. But remember, we can go back to basic shapes, pull out this whole cube. As long as you set the width to 1, now you can make this as tall as you want. I'll make it 30. I'll get rid of that smaller one and move this one over. You want your cutouts to completely overlap the area that you're going to cut out. You don't want it to look like this, where it's not cutting all the way across. All right, the cutouts are all set, so I'm going to select the fish and the cutouts and group. Next, we have our hinge cutout. So we'll move that down there, zoom in, and I want to position this so that the left edge of the cutout aligns with their left side of the section cutout. If you need to fine tune your movements, you can set the snap grid to off and just use the arrow keys to kind of nudge it over. It doesn't have to be exactly precise, but get it as good as you can. All right, that looks good. Now I'm going to go back to my creations, drag out another hinge cutout, tap the F key to focus, use the arrow keys to nudge it into place. And the last one, we'll do the same, tap F to focus. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to select all of these hinge cutouts and the fish and group. All right, we've got the pieces all cut out. Last step will be to add the hinge. So I have one already. I'm going to drag that down, tap F to zoom in, and I'm going to move the hinge over so that the left side of the pin aligns up with the right side of the section cutout. And I have the grid turned off so I can just nudge it into place. I'm going to click and rotate my object just to make sure that it's flush from the top. It looks like it is. Go back to top view. The other thing I'm going to do to check is to click on the fish and tap the T key to make it transparent. And I want to verify that the top and the bottom of the pin is embedded into that part of the shape, which it is. So that's good. I'll zoom out. I'll drag another hinge over. I need to rotate it in this case and tap the D key to make sure that it's flat on the print bed. Look at it from the top, tap the F key to zoom in, and use the arrow keys to position this more or less in the middle from top to bottom and with the pin aligned along the edge there. And then the last hinge we'll drag out, rotate 90 degrees, look at it from the top, tap the F key to zoom in, use the arrow keys to move the model over, tap the D key to make sure that it's dropped to the bottom, to the work plane. Okay, I'm just going to examine everything one last time by rotating around. Everything looks good. I'll zoom out, I'll select everything and group. This is showing the multicolor version, but if I click on shape and deselect multicolor, then you'll see a single color version of this model. So that should be good to go. The last step then is to click export, export as STL. And in your downloads, you'll see the Flexi Fish model. We'll bring that into Bamboo Studio, slice and print.